All right, so we just play this from start to finish one time through. All right, so we take that back. And we can see a little bit of that hip starting to lead down that mound prior to the leg going down. So creating momentum off the rip in a good pattern, good rate. One thing we can see very quickly is this front leg from about this point on is going to really dominate the pace at which we get into front foot strike. Something else that we can notice that the glove side has already got very much fully almost extended away from the body already, and this arm is still down here. So this glove is getting out very, very quickly. This front leg is fully extended very quickly and is going to begin to be the source of which we go forward. Go forward. And we can almost see with that glove getting so high and really reaching out here, really gets the whole body further down the mound too quickly, too soon. And because we're reaching so much with this front leg to reach this out as far as possible, primary reason we're landing such heel first, then we have to fall until we get firmly into foot strike. So once we're actually fully into front foot strike here, we can even maybe go one more frame. And we can see glove positioning and what that's doing to the front shoulder already peeling out. This arm is already bringing this elbow through. And we've just now gotten a front foot strike. So if we just pull up some other guys, and we'll just kind of pick willy-nilly some guys here. We won't go anything super specific or build like yourself, but we'll just go for some names that I'm hoping you have heard of before and of guys that have put along an extensive career, meaning they are able to stack a lot of innings year after year after year after year after year and remain healthy while doing so. So let's look for one or two more guys here. Let's mix in someone that's a young guy. Let's do that as well. Let's see. And we'll get one more for good luck. Let's go with the guy. Let's go with Mr. Peacock. And then if we're going to look at it, there's only one guy that we really need to think about, and that's Mr. Chapman. So let's do a couple things here. And again, we've gotten you paused here at front foot strike. So what we're going to do is we're going to let these guys roll through until they get to front foot strike. And we will pause them and compare everyone's bodies. But while we're doing that, let's just look at how long it takes Granke's glove to get fully out in front of him. And now he's finishing it. Also look at how long his leg stays back and in its lift as his legs go, or his hips go out. That leg is still trying to stay in this leg lift bend. We can still see that same angle. So that way his front foot isn't the reason he's going forward. It's because of this hip going out, creating that momentum. And then once momentum can't go anymore and our weight's going to start going forward, that's when we initiate this backside and start firing that into foot strike. So boom, now we got into foot strike here. Make him a little smaller. You right here. Key right there. Go to Mr. Gray. And again, we can see the time in which he allows that glove to go out. So he's allowing momentum to go with the hips, momentum, momentum, momentum. Allowing that glove time to get out before it starts to finish, So again, the hips led the way with momentum until he can't go no more. Then the backside rotates and drives into foot strike. So right there, he gets into foot strike right here. So let's minimize this. Move that here. Kyle Wright. So again, we can see how hips leading the way creates that momentum, 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 momentum. Glove takes its time getting out, and now it's finishing, now it's finishing, now it's finishing. And noticing how that whole back foot's still connected to the rubber until now he's going to start to rotate. Boom, into front foot strike. Let's minimize him. Bring that right there. Let's get Mad Max in his slide step, foot strike. Make this smaller. Throw him here. Get the Grom going. Okay. So Grom's in foot strike right here. And get Peacock. Good old Bradley. So again, we got momentum leading the way. Momentum, momentum, momentum. Glove taking its time getting out. Glove taking its time getting out. Now it's going to start to finish. Now it's going to start to finish. Finish. All right. And once that momentum can't keep going anymore, backside's got to fire. Momentum can't go anymore without weight falling forward. So now we got to have that backside start to go. Okay. So we get him the foot strike right there. Boom. And last guy is the master of it all. Chapman. So we can see momentum going down, momentum, momentum, momentum. Hands taking their time to separate. Momentum can't keep going any longer without weight falling forward, so now it's time to start driving and rotating that backside. Driving and rotating that backside. He gets into foot strike right here. So let's now get yours and look at some of these things that we're noticing. Okay. Location of glove compared to where a lot of or most of these guys' gloves are. A little bit more tighter to the body. Tighter to the body. Tighter to the body. Tight to the body. Tight to the body. Kind of see yours is tight to the body, but it's not tight in front of the body. It's more to the side of your body by your rib cage and down by that waist. Okay, let's look at the position of shoulders. If we said where you started your shoulders at, here are neutral. Shoulders need to get to this to begin to let that ball get ahead of us. So that means we have to rotate 90 degrees after foot strike. But we can see once you actually fully get into foot strike, once that toe connects, we've already began this shoulder rotation. Noticing this front shoulder here, if we get this big, this front shoulder here is in line with the target. But as we finish, that shoulder is opening. So now this foot's finally into the ground, and our shoulders, instead of still being sideways, are 10 degrees into this rotation already. So now that we've gotten the entire lower body to fire and stick, now it's time for the upper half to rotate. But because we've already rotated 10% prior to foot strike, we now only have 90% power, or 90% of our rotational ability remaining. Not only do we only have 90% of our rotation ability, we have this arm located, or this elbow rather, located beneath our shoulder. Okay, if we make this minimized a little bit and we look at Granke, we can see the position of shoulder to elbow, more side to side, with that hand straight above it. We look at Peacock, shoulder to elbow, more parallel with the ground, hand above that elbow. We look at Chapman here. Okay, shoulder to elbow. It's a little bit below parallel, but hand still straight above elbow. We look at Kyle Wright. Shoulder to elbow, parallel with the ground, hand above the elbow. We look at Max. We got a little bit different angle here. Obviously, we're behind him, and we're also slightly in front of the rubber as opposed to more to the side of the rubber. But we can see shoulder to elbow, maybe slightly, just a little bit lower. But again, hand above elbow. We look at DeGrom here, shoulder to elbow, parallel with the ground, hand above elbow. And then we go to Sonny Gray. And we can see shoulder to elbow is parallel with the ground. His hand hasn't came above that elbow just yet. So again, then we come to you, and we can just see shoulder to elbow is down and up. So that way, as we go to rotate now, that elbow is going to have to come up, and it's then going to have to start coming back down. It's a tough task to ask for it in a very short window, especially with our shoulders already open at foot strike. Okay, so how are we going to fix this? Two things we can think about. One, not allowing this arm to swing so far back behind you. The more it comes back behind you, the more your shoulders are going to have to rotate to get this from way first base side to third base side of your body and out in front of you. And because it has such a large range of rotation that it needs to do to get where it needs to be at release, something else is going to have to help it speed up to get on time. And that's this front shoulder having to start to rotate out before it's time to even throw that ball. Because if it doesn't start to open and we stay here, we're never going to be able to get that ball back out in front. We're going to be releasing it like right here, right by our ear. And we can see we're barely able to get it out in front of this front foot. This next frame here, the ball is going to be out of our fingers. And that is almost directly above our front foot, maybe slightly in front. So if we don't let that arm swing so far behind us, we won't have to rotate our shoulders as far to get that hand back out in front, meaning we won't have to open it up. The second thing that can help this is this front leg not reaching out so far. if this doesn't reach out so far, we won't try to be going as far as this leg is telling us to go. Because again, once we get past this first, depending on how well that mount's constructed, that first 8 to 12 inches, every foot we travel, we're going down an inch. Foot we travel, going down an inch. Foot we travel, we're going down an inch. Meaning the further you go out, the more you're going to have to go down to get that foot in the ground. So now that backside is just dragging, which is slowing us down. Imagine if you're on rollerblades or ice skates. If you just drag those blades or that skate in the ground, you're slowing down. And that's exactly what you're doing right here. The only time we're driving is here. Once we get here, this foot needs to be in the ground, boom, and then we start to rotate that upper half to throw. But because this foot reached so far, we're going to only be able to land with heel. And now we have all of this time that we should have already been locked into the ground and not going forward anymore. But because it took all this extra time, we're going to be rotating during this. And now we're left with an arm that's going to drag, an arm that's not going to be able to rotate as much, and an arm that's going to be rotating primarily up.